Hello friends, I'm Rankin with CampTown Media, and this is my wife Kim. Kim and I were kids pastors for a combined 25 years, and we're currently working with Dick and Jonathan Hardy on developing a kids ministry track with Church University to help equip, strengthen, and encourage kids ministry leaders and take their kids ministry to the next level. But right now, like many of you, we're at home. We're actually recording this from home. We're doing our part to help slow the spread of the coronavirus. Now, these can be trying times for church leaders. But with keeping the proper perspective and making the most out of every opportunity, we can continue to minister to congregations and families represented in the church.
With social distancing, keeping connected with the kids and youth in your church may be challenging, but it's something your church should be doing continually. Failing to do this could result in disengaged kids and youth when you're actually able to meet in person again. But making the most of this time to keep connected with them could not only keep kids and youth engaged, but it can be a huge boost for your ministries when the doors to your church open again. As well, it shows the parents in your church that you care, not just about the adults, but about the whole family, and you want to meet their needs on as many levels as possible. So let's make the most of this opportunity, reaching them right in their homes. We wanted to share with you some ways you can continue to have church with your kids and youth through social media.
Now, you may have reservations about using social media. Perhaps you think it's not a great platform because of all the negativity that can be shared and uncensored a lot through it. And I understand that completely, and I have my concerns with social media too, but the truth is we could really say that about any platform, from books to TV. Any platform can be misused, but also what's great is, the good news is, the church can leverage these platforms to share the gospel, to grow the church, and to minister to its congregations. We can use social media to, as Paul put it in Colossians 4, make the most of every opportunity. Social media is another opportunity for the church. And the great news is most of these resources are free, and people have all the equipment they need to do it right in their pockets.
That being said, we want to steward these opportunities well. And as with any media platform, parents should be aware of and participating in these activities with their kids. So as you communicate how you'll be interacting with the kids, be sure to speak to the parents and encourage them to take their kids to those platforms rather than just having kids log in unsupervised.
That's good. And let's start with who should be sharing, first of all. So as you're thinking about reaching into the homes, who should be the ones that are doing that? Who from your church should be reaching the kids and youth in your church? Essentially, it's anyone they'd see on a weekly basis. So if you have full-time staff that minister to your kids, those are the ones who should be posting frequently and reaching out to the families, encouraging and sharing hope with them. Now, if you don't have paid staff, but you have key volunteer leaders, those are the ones I would encourage them to do the same thing, to help them to reach the families, to engage with the families. But also on that note, especially if it's volunteers, help the families get connected with them so that there's some familiarity. If they don't have the title pastor, you may want to do your part to help those families get connected with your key leaders who are going to be sharing with them.
That's good. So let's move on to how should we share? There are a wide variety of opportunities, too many to go into a lot of detail right now. So if you're new to social media, you may need to do a little research and self-education to see what's best and what works for you.
So let's quickly look at some of these opportunities. First of all, your church's website. So if your church has a website, depending on its capabilities, you can have online church by posting videos or downloadable content like activity sheets that the kids can download, print, and do at home. This is a great opportunity because you can quickly and simply direct people to this resource. You can just say, go to www.mychurchname.org or .church and get them there pretty quickly. But it's definitely not the only way, nor is it usually the easiest or cheapest way to implement, especially if you're working from home or if there's only one person who manages the website. It can be challenging. So why don't we look at a few of those free resources as well?
Okay, so YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, most of these offer a lot of the same opportunities to reach into the homes of your church. They all have value, and I'd recommend that your church at some point start using all of them. But if I had to recommend one for now, I'd recommend Facebook because it seems to be a great combination of all media. As well, it's one that most families are probably familiar with and most likely have an account with. With Facebook, you can post text, pictures, videos, as well as go live with videos, giving your church an opportunity to actually have a live church service where the kids and youth in your church can log on as a group, chat and interact with the live event.
That's good. And one way, of course, that's kind of age old now is email. While we are encouraging you to use social media, you're going to want to direct them on how to get that. So emailing your congregation is very important. It's vital too. We didn't want to leave email out, but I would say it's kind of the stepping stone to getting them engaged in all these other ways, because you don't want to necessarily flood an inbox with emails, because that could become white noise. You don't want to do that, but as well, you can use it to get people, to point people in the right direction. Follow these people, check out what they're doing, making sure you're checking out this YouTube channel or following this kids pastor online. Those are ways that you're able to use email to get people, to point them in the right direction to either your website or to social media. As well, another way you can minister to youth and kids in your church, and it may sound a little counterintuitive, but it's by directing them to other kids and youth ministries that have online resources available. Churches like James River Church, Church of the Highlands, and Life Church, they all have online kids and youth experiences. So if you're unable to produce content at this point, perhaps you could direct them to another ministry that's providing content that can continue to teach the kids and youth while your church is not meeting. Now, while these are great resources, I would still say it is not, and I repeat, it is not a substitute for what your church can do. Because you're their pastors. You're the one who's feeding them. So it's not a substitute. So I would encourage you can utilize that resource, but only in addition to what you're doing. So if you're going to direct them to other ministries, you want to make sure that you're feeding them as well. You're keeping engaged with them as well. So it's not a substitute for what you're doing, but it's a great addition. Now, if you're interested in these, Dick and Jonathan Hardy will post links to these ministries so you can check them out if you'd like.
Okay, so this brings us to what should we be sharing? Now that is up to you, of course, but we do have a few suggestions. You can share online your weekly curriculum. So if you were doing a series in the kids or youth area when you stopped meeting in person, keep that series going online. You can incorporate as many service elements as possible, like worship, Bible lessons, fun object lessons, and prayer. All of these can be done from at home and posted online. Special at-home activities. Remember, it doesn't have to be all church. Kids and youth aren't just missing church, they're missing life. So doing things that engage them, like wacky challenges or games they can play at home, it will help pass the time, and it will also increase engagement in what your church is doing. As well, if you're posting fun content, they'll share it with their friends, and interest in your church can grow just by having fun online. And when the doors to your church open again, you could have new people checking out your church just because of a random game their kids played online. If you have special challenges or activities for kids and youth to do, encourage them to post these activities and tag your church in the post, tag your kids ministry in the post, your youth ministry in the post, and that also helps promote your church as well.
Another thing you could post is special prayer times. So you could have moments when you're calling the kids and youth to pray for what's going on. Give them specific things to pray for and challenge them to daily go before God with their needs and the needs of the world. Use this time to help them understand that their prayers are powerful and that when they call on God, things can happen.
The most important thing to remember is to keep letting the families in your church know you're praying for them, that you're excited to be able to see them once again in person. And if they need anything, that you're there to help as much as possible. God has huge plans for your church, and his plans are bigger than any challenge we may face, any news report that we hear. God is bigger, and when we make the most of every opportunity, God will use you to minister powerfully to the families and even grow your church. We're praying for you, that God will bless you and your church during this time.